It was a night like so many others, hot, heavy, without a hint of breeze. Mr. Ernest, 78 years old, went to bed earlier than usual. He had spent the whole day feeling somewhat tired, but he blamed it on the sun and the summer heat, as always. As he did every night, he placed the fan in front of his bed, turned it on full blast, and lay back with a light sheet. It was his way of fighting the swelter. That was the last time his wife saw him alive. The next morning, he didn't answer the call for breakfast. They found him with no vital signs. The doctor was clear: a heart attack while he slept, silent, sudden, and perhaps preventable. What his family didn't know, and neither did he, is that on hot nights, an older person's body works much harder than we think. The heart strains to stay steady, blood pressure fluctuates without warning, and constant sweating can lead to mild but dangerous dehydration. All of that happens without us noticing. And most importantly, many of us make a simple mistake when sleeping in summer that can raise that risk without our realizing it. Did you know nighttime heat can alter your blood pressure even when you're resting, and that certain habits that seem harmless can push your heart to the limit? In this video, I want to tell you exactly what mistakes so many people make in summer at bedtime and how you can avoid it simply and safely. If you're over 60 or you care for someone who is already in that stage, stay with me. What we're going to talk about can make a huge difference. And before we start, how old are you? And where are you watching this video from? I'd love to read your comments. There's something many people don't know. Summer doesn't only tire you out during the day, it also wears you down at night. While we think we're resting, the body, especially in older adults, is fighting a silent battle against the heat. See, when the ambient temperature rises, the body activates several mechanisms to try to cool itself. It starts to sweat more, to dilate blood vessels, and to adjust blood pressure to keep blood circulating properly. All of that requires extra effort from the heart. And if you already have a heart that has worked for more than 60 or 70 years, that effort can take a toll. Sleeping in a very hot room makes your heart rate increase, even if you don't notice. It can also make your blood pressure drop suddenly, especially if you're dehydrated, or rise dangerously if your body reacts to heat with stress. And this doesn't only affect those with diagnosed problems. Sometimes, an apparently healthy heart can fail if it's put under too much strain for many nights in a row. Some groups are at especially high risk. People with hypertension, whose circulatory system is already compromised. People with diabetes, who often don't notice warning signs. Those with overweight, because the body stores more heat and cools more slowly. And of course, those who have already had a previous cardiac complication. I'll tell you about Claire, a 75-year-old woman I met at a health talk for older adults. She lived alone in a small apartment, and on summer nights, she slept with the windows closed for fear of burglary. She didn't have air conditioning, so she used a small fan aimed directly at her body while she slept. What began as a way to cope with the heat turned into a problem. Claire started waking up every dawn with a strange sensation in her chest, like an internal vibration. Sometimes she had tachycardia. Other times, just a feeling of anxiety for no reason, as she described it. She thought it was due to dreams or to age. She never suspected that the nighttime heat and the effort her heart made each night could be behind it. It was her granddaughter, a nursing student, who one day took her blood pressure upon waking and found a dangerously high number. They recommended improving ventilation, not sleeping with built-up heat in the room, and above all, understanding that hot nights also tax the body, even more than days do. Sleeping in heat isn't just uncomfortable. For the heart, it can be like running a marathon without getting out of bed. And when that effort repeats night after night throughout the summer, the risk accumulates without you noticing. The most common mistake when sleeping in summer. When the heat bears down and the body can't find relief, you look for quick fixes. In many homes, especially where there isn't central air conditioning, the most common solution is to turn on a fan or aim cool air directly at the body. It's logical. Feeling that coolness at bedtime seems like the only way to close your eyes in the middle of the night. But here's the part many people don't know. That fan, or that cold air, may be doing more harm than good. Sleeping with a constant stream of air whether from a fan or an air conditioner, pointed directly at the body, causes several negative effects, even though most people don't notice at first. The first is mild, silent dehydration. While you sleep, the steady air over the skin speeds up the evaporation of sweat. It seems like a good thing because you feel less hot, but the truth is you're losing water without realizing it, and with each night, that loss adds up. The second effect is muscle spasms. Have you noticed that in summer you sometimes wake up with a stiff neck or back? That's because the constant airflow can trigger involuntary muscle contractions, especially if the body is exposed for hours. And most concerning of all, that constant thermal stress forces the heart to work harder. While you're asleep, the body is receiving mixed signals. On the one hand, the hot room, on the other, the direct cold air. That disrupts the natural regulation of temperature and heart rhythm. The heart, trying to keep balance, can end up speeding up, or in some cases decompensating. Let me tell you about Mr. Ernest, a 74-year-old man who lives in Cordoba, where summers can be especially dry and stifling. He slept every night with an industrial fan aimed directly at his chest. He couldn't stand the heat, so he set it to the highest speed. He said that way he slept like a king. But one day, without warning, he woke up with sky-high blood pressure. His heart was pounding, and he felt a tingling in his left arm. He ended up in the emergency room, where they explained that he had been dehydrated for nights, that his heart rhythm was altered, and that the constant fan, far from helping, had been part of the problem. His words, days later, were very clear. "I felt cool, but my body was fighting without my knowing it." Since then, he changed his routine. He opened windows strategically, placed the fan in a corner to move air without blowing directly on him, and started sleeping with a light cotton sheet. Lightweight, but protective. The key isn't to eliminate the fan or the air conditioner, but to use them smartly. Let them cool the room, yes, but without attacking the body directly. Let them help, not harm. This mistake is so common that people don't even question it. But now that you know, you can avoid it. And later in this video, I'll show you how to prepare your room and your body to sleep better without putting your health at risk. How nighttime dehydration affects the heart. There's a silent enemy hiding between the sheets on summer nights. It makes no noise, gives no clear signs, and when it appears, it's often late. I'm talking about nighttime dehydration. What most people don't know is that we also sweat while we sleep, even if we don't feel it. And when the temperature is high, that sweat increases. It doesn't always soak your clothes, it doesn't always show to the touch, but the body is losing water steadily. And when we don't replace that fluid before bed, the body starts to suffer immediately, especially the blood, which becomes thicker, more viscous. That means the heart has to work harder to pump it. It's as if, instead of pushing clear water, it had to move honey. With thicker blood, the risk of forming clots increases, and that can lead to very serious problems like thrombosis, embolisms, or even heart attacks. In addition, if you already have a prior condition like hypertension or arrhythmias, this extra effort can destabilize you without your knowing it. Another little-known effect is that dehydration can alter the heart's electrical rhythm, causing palpitations or arrhythmias that confuse the body, and that many older adults mistake for anxiety, insomnia, or simply nerves. And all of this happens many times because of a decision that seems logical, not drinking water before bed, so you don't have to get up to use the bathroom at night. It's a real concern, I get it. At a certain age, sleeping through the night becomes harder, and many people avoid drinking water after 8 or 9 at night. But sometimes that small sacrifice can have much bigger consequences. I'll tell you about Aurora, an 81-year-old woman who lives alone in a small flat. She was afraid of falling when going to the bathroom at night, so she decided to stop drinking liquids after 7 in the evening. At first she felt fine. She slept better. But after several hot nights, she started to feel short of breath upon waking. One day she fainted as soon as she got out of bed. She was taken to the hospital with very low blood pressure and signs of dehydration. They explained that the problem wasn't just the heat. It was that her body didn't have enough water to make up for the nighttime loss, and that had directly affected her heart's function. Since then, Aurora does something very simple. She drinks half a glass of water before going to bed and keeps another by the bedside. She doesn't need to drink much, just enough so her body doesn't fall into deficit. She also improved her room's ventilation and wears lighter sleepwear. Small changes that made a big difference. The recommendation is clear. Hydrate throughout the day. Avoid diuretic drinks like coffee or alcohol at night, and don't be afraid to drink at least a little water before sleeping. If you have trouble getting up to use the bathroom, make sure the path is well lit, free of obstacles, and consider talking with your doctor to organize your medication and fluid schedules. Remember, the heart needs water as much as rest, and in summer, every drop counts. The worst nighttime habits in summer. There are things we do without thinking. We've done them all our lives. They seem normal, part of the routine. But when the heat intensifies and the body is more vulnerable, those small habits can turn into mistakes. And those mistakes can affect us much more than we think. Today, I want to talk to you about 4 common summer night habits that damage sleep quality and put heart health at risk, especially in older adults. First, eating dinner very late. When you dine at 10 or even later, the body doesn't have enough time to digest before lying down. And in summer, digestion is even slower because of the heat. Sleeping with a full stomach forces the body to keep working through the night. This not only causes insomnia or discomfort, but also raises blood pressure and can affect heart rhythm. Ideally, have dinner at least 2 hours before bed with light meals, no fried foods or heavy meats. Second, sleeping without proper clothing. Many believe sleeping naked or with very little on is best against heat, but that's not always true. The body needs minimal thermal protection, even in summer. If we sleep with the body fully exposed, especially if we use a fan or air conditioning, the temperature change during the night can cause muscle spasms, tension, or even respiratory infections. It's best to wear lightweight cotton clothing that lets the body breathe, but also protects sensitive areas like the chest, back, and feet. Third, drinking alcohol before bed. That little glass of wine or that liqueur many take as part of their nighttime routine can be more harmful than it seems. Alcohol acts as a sedative at first, but it interferes with the deep stages of sleep, causing micro-awakenings that we often don't remember, but that disrupt rest. In addition, alcohol dehydrates, raises body temperature, and can alter heart rhythm. And if combined with medications, the effect can be even more dangerous. Let me tell you the story of Julian, a 79-year-old man I met at a community talk. All his life he had a little glass of liqueur before bed. He called it his sleep medicine. In winter, he didn't notice anything odd. But when summer arrived, he began to wake up agitated, with an internal heat sensation and with a racing heart. One night, he had a minor heart attack. Luckily, it was mild, and he received medical attention in time. In the hospital, the doctors were clear. His daily nightcap, combined with the heat and his blood pressure medication, had been a dangerous cocktail. Julian was in shock. He couldn't believe it. But since then, he's given up nighttime alcohol and learned new ways to relax before sleeping. His words stuck with me. I thought I was taking care of my sleep, but I was punishing my heart. And fourth, coffee or tea at the last minute. Many older adults enjoy an evening infusion. It's a social habit, a lifelong custom. But both coffee and some teas contain caffeine, a stimulant that not only disrupts sleep, but can also raise blood pressure. And even though some say it doesn't affect me, the body becomes more sensitive with age. Even decaf can contain small amounts that, combined with heat, destabilize the nervous system. So, what can we do? Changing these habits doesn't mean giving up enjoying the evening. It means adapting to what your body needs now, at this stage of life. Summer doesn't forgive neglect, and the heart, though silent, remembers every bad night we've put it through. Sleeping well in summer isn't just about temperature. It's also about small decisions that, repeated night after night, can protect your life. Medications and night heat, a dangerous combination. Many older adults follow their medical treatments to the letter. They take their pills at the same time with the same routine, just as the doctor said. And that's fine, most of the time. But in summer, everything changes. High temperatures, constant sweating, fluid loss, sleepless nights. These alter the effect of some medications, especially those related to the heart and blood pressure. And that's something almost no one talks about. There are medications that work perfectly well in winter, but can become dangerous when the heat rises, especially if we're not well hydrated or if we're not sleeping properly. For example, diuretics. These pills are designed to eliminate excess fluid from the body and lower blood pressure. But in summer, when we're already losing fluid through sweat, they can push us into severe dehydration without our noticing, and that can cause dizziness, falls, or sharp drops in blood pressure during the night. The same happens with some heart medications like beta blockers or certain vasodilators. Their effect is amplified by heat, making blood pressure drop too much while we sleep, which can cause palpitations, confusion upon waking, or even fainting. Let me tell you about Teresa, a 76-year-old woman who lived with her daughter in a small coastal town. Every morning, as her doctor had indicated, she took her blood pressure pill and a diuretic. She had done so for years without problems, but that summer was especially hot. Teresa sweated a lot during the day and barely slept at night. She started feeling weak in the mornings. One day, as she got out of bed, she fainted and hit the dresser. She was taken to the hospital, where they explained that she was dehydrated with imbalanced electrolytes and that her blood pressure had dropped more than usual. The reason? Her usual medication, which hadn't been adjusted for summer conditions. After that, her doctor changed the timing, reduced the diuretic dose, and advised her to drink more water at specific times of day, not just when she felt thirsty. And here's the most important point. This isn't about stopping medication on your own. That would be a very dangerous mistake. What you should do is talk to your doctor whenever your life conditions change, like an especially hot summer, loss of appetite, sleepless nights, or constant sweating. Ask whether it's necessary to adjust the dose, change the timing of doses, or run any tests to see how your body is functioning in that climate. Remember that the body doesn't react the same at 70 as it did at 40, and that heat changes everything, from your pulse to how your body absorbs a pill. Also, in many cases, simply changing the time of day you take a certain medication can make a huge difference. For example, taking a diuretic in the morning instead of at night can prevent nighttime dehydration, or splitting a dose into 2 different times of day to avoid sharp blood pressure drops. Sleeping well and protecting the heart also includes reviewing your treatment, and even more so when the nights are hot and humid and the body is on alert without your knowing it. Sleeping well in summer isn't a matter of luck. It's a combination of small decisions that, in the end, make a big difference. And one of the most important has to do with something we usually ignore: bedroom temperature. Did you know the body needs to be at a certain temperature to truly rest? Not too hot, not too cold. Science has studied it, and experts agree the ideal temperature for sleep is between 20 and 24 degrees Celsius. Above that, the body struggles to cool down. Below, it activates to stay warm. In both cases, rest is interrupted, even if you don't notice. So, how do you achieve that balance without putting your health at risk? First, something very simple but powerful: cross-ventilation. Opening 2 windows on opposite sides of the house or room, even partially, allows air to circulate and renew. If you only open one, the air stagnates. But with 2 openings, even small ones, you create a natural current that refreshes gently and steadily. If you can't do that for security reasons, one option is to leave one open with a screen or bars and the other in another area of the house. Second, air conditioning can be used, but carefully. It shouldn't blow directly onto the body. The idea isn't to freeze the room, but to keep it within that comfortable range. If you don't have a thermometer, it's enough to step into the room and feel that the air isn't stifling or too cold. Many older adults make the mistake of sleeping with the airstream on their face or chest, and that ends up causing muscle tension, dryness, and even respiratory problems. Third, the right clothing. Wear lightweight, loose cotton garments that allow the body to sweat naturally. Avoid synthetic fabrics that trap heat and hinder airflow over the skin. And though it may be tempting to sleep without clothes, as mentioned earlier, It's better to cover yourself lightly to protect muscles from nighttime cooling. Fourth, the mattress and bedding. Some mattresses retain body heat, especially dense foam or synthetic materials. If, when you lie down, you feel the mattress is like a hot plate, consider using a cotton topper or investing in a breathable mattress cover. Sheets matter too. They should be light, breathable, and preferably light-colored, since dark colors retain more heat. And to show you this isn't just theory, I'll tell you a true story. Claire and Robert, a couple in their 80s, lived in an old house with low ceilings and small windows. Every summer they struggled to sleep. They used an old fan, slept with minimal clothing, and barely dozed. One day their grandson, who had studied architecture, visited and suggested a few simple changes. They swapped heavy curtains for lighter ones that allowed better air circulation. They installed a small air conditioner with a timer that cooled the room during the first 30 minutes without staying on all night. They started using cotton sheets in light colors and placed a light cloth over the fan to soften the airflow. They also positioned the fan in a corner so it moved air without hitting their bodies directly. In less than a week, their sleep quality changed dramatically. Claire, who used to get up 5 times a night, began sleeping 6 hours in a row. Robert, who suffered from high blood pressure, noticed he woke up more rested with more stable numbers. They themselves say, "We didn't know the heat was affecting our health so much. We thought it was the years, but it was the conditions." And that's something we all need to keep in mind. Sleeping well isn't a luxury, it's a vital necessity. And in summer, that need depends largely on the temperature and environment we create for rest. Warning signs you mustn't ignore at night. In many stories that end in tragedy, there's a phrase that repeats, "I thought it was nothing." And behind those words, there are usually signs. Signs the body sent clearly, but that were ignored or mistaken for something else. During the night, and especially on summer nights, the body can show warning symptoms related to the heart or circulatory system. Recognizing them in time can make the difference between life and death. Let's see some of the most important. Cold sweat. It's not normal sweat from heat. Cold sweat appears suddenly, without apparent cause, and feels like a chilly dampness on the skin. It often comes with weakness, nausea, or chills. It's a clear sign that something isn't right and could be an early warning of a heart attack. Palpitations. We all feel our heart beat. But when that beat becomes very strong, irregular, or fast, and you notice it even at rest, you need to pay attention. Nighttime palpitations can indicate arrhythmias, electrolyte imbalance from dehydration, or cardiovascular stress. Pain in the arm or chest. The crushing pain in the center of the chest, which can radiate to the left arm, the jaw, or even the back, is a classic symptom of a heart attack. Sometimes it isn't sharp pain, but an uncomfortable pressure, as if someone were pressing your chest hard. If it appears at rest during the night, don't ignore it. Dizziness or lightheadedness. Getting out of bed and feeling the room spin or that your legs don't respond well can be a sign of low blood pressure, dehydration, or a neurological problem. But it can also be the prelude to a fainting spell or a cardiac episode. Sitting for a few minutes, breathing deeply, and seeing whether the dizziness eases is key. If it doesn't improve, act. A sense of tightness or dread. Often the body doesn't express distress with pain, but with a feeling of unease, as if something weren't right. Some people describe it as anxiety that rises from the stomach, or as an inner alarm that's hard to explain. Don't automatically blame nerves or insomnia. The body is wise, and sometimes it warns us emotionally about what it can't say in words. Martha's case. Martha is 77 and lives alone in a warm apartment. One January night, she woke with her heart pounding. Her forehead felt damp, but the rest of her body felt cold. She had no pain, just a strange chest sensation. She thought it was anxiety. She got up, drank a little water, and tried to go back to sleep. But that anxiety repeated 2 nights in a row. On the third, in addition to palpitations, she felt a slight tingling in her left arm. The next morning, she went to the clinic. They detected a mild arrhythmia, and signs that she had suffered a small heart attack without realizing it. The cardiologist was blunt. "Your body warned you 3 times. It gave you chances." Since then, Martha has a clear plan. She sleeps with her phone next to her. She has emergency numbers written in large print. And at any symptom she can't explain, she doesn't hesitate to ask for help. What should you do if it happens to you or someone close? Don't underestimate any nighttime symptom. If you feel several of the signs above, call a doctor or emergency services. Don't try to wait and see if it passes. If it's a heart attack, time is vital. Always keep your phone charged and within reach. Keep the names and doses of your medications nearby so you can report them quickly. Sleeping should be an act of rest, not a game of Russian roulette. And while we can't avoid every risk, we can listen to the body and act quickly. How to sleep in summer without risking your heart. Sleeping well in summer doesn't have to be a struggle, and certainly not a threat. What you need isn't major changes or expensive gadgets. What you need is a simple, safe routine designed especially for those who are already past 60. Here's a checklist with 5 key steps for cooler, calmer, and above all, safer nights. 1. Proper hydration before bed. Don't wait until you're thirsty. An older person's body loses water more easily and doesn't always signal it. Drinking a glass of water an hour before bedtime helps regulate body temperature during the night and prevents blood pressure dips. If you're worried about waking to use the bathroom, simply avoid drinking in the last 30 minutes. But don't skip hydration. 2. No heavy or late meals. Avoid eating 2 hours before bed. And if you can, make your dinner light, low in salt and fat. Heavy meals make digestion harder, raise blood pressure, and make the body work more than necessary while it's trying to rest. 3. Control bedroom temperature. Remember what we said earlier. Between 20 and 24 degrees is ideal. Use natural ventilation if you can. Avoid air blowing directly on your body, and create an environment with light, cotton bedding in light tones. Your bedroom should feel like a cool refuge, not an oven and not a freezer. 4. Mind your sleeping posture. Sleeping on your side, with your legs slightly bent and a pillow between them, can help maintain good circulation. It also avoids pressure on the chest area, improves breathing, and promotes rest. If you use a fan or air conditioning, try to cover at least your chest with a light sheet. 5. Turn off screens at least half an hour before. The glow from phones, televisions, or tablets interferes with the natural production of melatonin, the sleep hormone. And if it's hot on top of that, it increases the feeling of insomnia. Try swapping that last half hour for something calmer, listening to soft music, reading a few pages, or simply closing your eyes in silence. And if it's hard to follow all the steps at once, that's okay. Start with one, then another. The important thing is to create a nighttime ritual your body recognizes and appreciates. 5-step ritual for a safe night. Drink a glass of cool water. Turn off screens and bright lights. Make sure the room is ventilated. Dress in light, comfortable clothing. Lie on your side. Breathe deeply. And be grateful for the day. This small ritual can become your best ally during summer nights. Because sleeping well isn't just a pleasure. It's also a shield for your heart. Sleeping well is living better. Don't forget it. Summer nights can be tough. The heat doesn't let up. The body sweats, stirs, destabilizes. And once you reach a certain age, what used to be merely uncomfortable can become a silent risk. Throughout this video, we saw how heat affects the circulatory system, how a misused fan or air conditioner can do more harm than good, and how some very common nighttime habits, like late dinners or a little nightcap, put extra pressure on a heart that's already worked a lifetime. We also talked about medications, about the signals the body gives when something is wrong, and about how a well-planned nighttime routine can make the difference. This isn't about being afraid. It's about knowing and caring. Because sleeping isn't just resting. It's regenerating, protecting, staying alive. We sleep nearly a third of our lives. How could we not pay attention to the quality of that time? Sleeping with a dehydrated body, with a fan blowing straight at your chest, with food in your stomach, and with heat trapped in the room, is like asking your heart to keep running a marathon while you think you're at rest. And the truth is that many nighttime tragedies could have been avoided with small changes. So if you've made it this far, I can only say this. Thank you for taking care of yourself. Thank you for getting informed, for listening, for sharing this moment. And if you know an older person, your mother, your father, a friend or a neighbor, who isn't sleeping well in summer, send them this video. It could save their heart. Literally. This isn't about living in fear. It's about living wisely. And you? How old are you? And where are you watching this video from? I'd love to know. I'll read you in the comments. Thank you for being here.